Welcome to Unbiased and on the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you guys so much for joining us for our Power of 8 at 8 with Eileen and I. How's it going, Eileen?
Everything's going great. How about you?
Oh, doing wonderful. The weather looks good here. I know that, of course, those down in the Gulf are dealing with bearing down on them, right? But
Yeah. In fact, I didn't check today to see what it turned into. Is it still a cyclone or tropical storm, or did it get into a low-grade hurricane?
I heard it hit hurricane strength,
Okay.
just the first level, I guess. What do they call it? A
Yeah, I'm
one
guessing
or
that's
whatever?
like 100 miles an hour or something like that. That's a
Sorry about
guess.
my grandson in the other room. So I did talk to Sherry earlier. She's okay. She was like, I think it's at Lafayette, Georgia, or Lafayette, Louisiana, was near the eye of it. So I got a hold of her. She said everything was fine. She, of course, is working, doing her nurse stuff. So, but she was okay. So,
Right through
um,
it, right? Right through
yeah,
it, taking care of those people.
yeah, that's the
And
thing.
and we noticed that it was a lot less fierce than it was reported for the rest of the country when we had our hurricane 2 years ago. You
Yeah,
know,
isn't that strange? Evacuation order went out. I think she said her mom never even had to leave or anything, but
yeah.
it was really slow moving. So I guess it was just dumping a
Very
ton of water.
slow moving. It must have been very big then, right? Because
Hmm.
we've got tons of rain coming down right now, and we have done for the last 2 days. So I think it stretches at least the whole length of the state of Florida.
Probably does. Let me see if that looks like it's the outskirts of the same system.
Because
I'm
it's
sure it is.
pouring now, but we can get tropical rains any day. Doesn't have even have to have a hurricane attached.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to stretch all the way up through. Gosh, it looks like it's into Arkansas and Alabama over the next few days.
They're
So
they're, they're big storms. They're very big,
yeah.
bigger
So
than I remember. I won't call that a Mandela effect. I just think storms seem to be spread out more now. Don't you think?
yeah, they're saying that it's expected to drop 10 or 20 inches of rain in parts of Louisiana and Mississippi because it's so slow moving.
That's the problem, is the
Yeah,
flooding. The ground can't soak it up fast enough. It's much better as a fast moving storm, but then you get the damage from the winds. You get all the
yeah.
signs down in the telephone poles and light poles.
Kind of
So
need a
slow
happy
moving's
medium in
better.
there, huh? Yeah,
Yeah.
you need a happy medium.
What's the
Get
happy
people
medium?
to not too much wind and not too much rain.
Yeah, exactly. Right there in the middle.
So that's exciting. So besides weather, what's been going on?
Well,
Anything?
another weather comment, being naughty on our channel, which we are occasionally, but we're still here. My daughter's boyfriend stayed in, the Marco Island area, Naples, Fort Myers, that southern part. And
Hmm.
we evacuated as far as our gasoline would take us through Hurricane Irma, which was 2 years ago this coming September. And we only could get one tank of gas. We were going to go all the way to Tennessee, but we couldn't get enough gasoline because the whole state ran out of gasoline. And so we stayed with some friends in Clearwater. And then as soon as that storm passed the next day, she's like, I want to go home and see my friends. I want to get home and, see my boyfriend. She was still in high school. And we checked the news, and the news was saying there's only one road to go down the coastal side, Gulf side of Florida, and that's 75. It's a highway. And it was saying, don't go on Highway 75. Debris, trees, signs, flooding. And, they'd show the highway, and the highway was empty, and there'd be like one or two cars driving, right? And she's going, come on, Mom, let's go. Come on, let's see how far we can go. So going completely against the authorities' instructions, we jump in our car and just start driving down 3 hours from Clearwater to the very tip of Florida. And we did not hit one tree, one branch, one leaf, one puddle. It was clear the whole way. And so now I'm my conspiracy hat's on, right? And I'm looking around going, are they like taking pictures of our license plates to know who doesn't listen?
Right. Who's the
Because
rebels here?
the rebels are on the road, and there were probably between 5 and 10 of us the whole way. So it wasn't like 100 rebels. It wasn't like I could blend in with the crowd, you know?
Yeah.
Like when everybody's going like 5 miles over, you can just blend in with them and not get a speeding ticket. It's kind of funny. And when I got down to where the hurricane I had hit, which was Key West first. So obviously the islands and, Puerto Rico got it bad, and Haiti, and, the islands got it, the brunt of it. And then southern Florida got what was left. That was considered landfall. And then we got some trees and fences down, and some, housing roof panels blown off, but not whole roofs.
Right.
Not telephone poles, not a couple of trees, little trees blown over, that couldn't take the wind. So,
but most of it was concentrated right there at the coast where it first hit. Beyond that, it wasn't even.
It just wasn't really
to talk about, huh?
Noticeable. No, just the poor little trees that got knocked over, that needed to be picked up and pushed back in, and then put a big 2x4 under them and stand them up. We had to do that in Clearwater because the eye went out and came back in at Lakeland, and it was such a big storm, it covered the whole state, that it drained Tampa Bay. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And it dropped that water over on St. Augustine, Jacksonville, got totally flooded. And because it was sucking up the water from our side and dropping it on the other side of the state. It was a really weird storm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just makes you wonder about that stuff. You think, like, they have, like, say, Katrina come through, and then they're a little trigger happy after that because so many people got stranded. They're like, look, we'd rather people evacuate and not need to. Do you think it's something like that? I mean, why would they still report the roads as being so horrible, though, when they're
Sometimes
not?
I think it's just a test to see if people will listen or not.
Just testing their relevancy, huh?
Just testing, yeah. I mean, because the storm had passed. Let's say it hit the south of Florida around 6 p.m. And then midnight, it hit the middle of the state. So by the next morning, it was still raining cats and dogs in Louisiana, Kentucky, Georgia, Carolinas. It
So
had
it's one of those westward moving storms.
Yeah. But there was no reason, since our skies were clear and blue, for us not to get back on the road. However, this is how I think they might have been thinking, now that I think of it. Since all those Floridians left the state and were in hotels and friends' houses in Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee and the Carolinas, maybe because those areas were still being rained on excessively and flooded, they didn't want all those people heading back home. Right. So maybe they reported like debris on 75 just to keep people not on the roads yet. And of course, we look out the window and we're like, it's blue skies by us. Let's go see how far we can get. And if we hit some debris, we'll exit if we can and go find a hotel, go find a motel somewhere, or a friend,
Yeah.
Or a side street. So we kind of went off on an adventure and found there was not even a leaf on the highway. And that worried me. I was like, maybe they're just taking down license plates of the 10 people who hit the road.
So you didn't even really see any emergency vehicles or anything on the road?
No emergency vehicles, no water. When I got down to the very, very bottom of the state, I saw trees and fence panels and pieces of roofing strewn about. Right. But at no point did I not have access on any of the roads. All the roads were open and clear. And then I did see some flooding below the highway where there were houses. Sometimes there's houses and they're quite low, the highway's high. Yeah. And I could see standing water when we hit Bonita Beach, right south of Fort Myers. I could see that some of the houses got hit with floods.
But 75 is really elevated enough the whole way that wasn't. Yeah.
But I think they might have had other reasons to keep people off the roads, because there was no gasoline. And what else? Maybe the fire stations didn't have power yet, because most places were out of power for a week. So
or
maybe
what you're mentioning, the exits might have been flooded in some places, and then they didn't have time to put signs up or something. And they just
And maybe they couldn't, if there was a car accident on 75, they couldn't get an emergency vehicle to it because it was dealing with issues in its own area. So there might have been a really good strategic reason for them to say that 75 was out of commission and underwater, but it wasn't.
Right. But all the exits, if you can see if a long stretch was, you couldn't exit because everything was flooded down below or something, and they didn't have the resources to put signs up and stuff yet. I can see some strategic
where they
reasons.
couldn't knock off all the exits.
Yeah.
So, but then
Didn't have
again,
enough cones.
adventurous people do like to go out and see how far they can get. Adventurous people in Florida have hurricane parties. They tape up their windows, they board up their windows on the outside, put tape on the inside, and just get all the booze out, right? That is a traditional Key West hurricane party.
I'm trying to think where Jolie was. I think she's in Alabama. She sent me some photos.
Yeah, if you can put
share.
them up, that'd be cool.
Let's see. Share screen. Here we go. Share that, and then I will pull up these lightning photos. These are pretty nice. So she was in the chat last night, and
wow.
And she said she had to go capture some pictures of the lightning. So these are sent in by Jolie. Just
look at that. That's the lightning.
Yeah, look at that's amazing.
Beautiful. It's very blue.
I don't know if Jolie's in here. She can tell us right where these were, but pretty sure she's in. I thought northern Alabama. Yeah. Really beautiful, though.
Yeah, really pretty. There you go. She got a lightning bolt.
Yeah. I love that when I get that.
That one's cool. It's sheer luck, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. One night it was just spidering all over the sky, and I'm like, this is just too easy, I just.
Did you get some good photographs?
Yeah, oh yeah. And some of the times the camera will put a white line, a dividing mark on there. I've seen people. It's a camera anomaly.
Oh, but, what's that? Like a line? A line?
Yeah, it'd just be like the camera can't adjust half enough, so the whole one side of the screen, or I think it's top to bottom, it messes up. It'd be like the top half is white, and then there'll be a line, and then you can see the bottom. It's like the camera didn't have enough time to refresh or something. But.
That one's so pretty. It goes from purples to blues, and it looks like a tree.
Yeah, it really is beautiful.
Yeah.
So nice shots. Jolie, thanks for sharing.
Good job. I think I caught some storm photos today from Jane as well. She's always here. Jane's probably in the chat room, but she's up in Quebec. So you got your own storm going on up there. Really black clouds and really low. And I'm like, hey, Jane, we got lots of those down here. We are miles away from each other, and it looks like we got the same sky.
Yeah, Atsuko had captured some lightning, or it didn't really look like lightning, but it was flashing like lightning in the sky. Almost like somebody was arc welding just beyond the horizon, and you're seeing it sort of flashing. But there was no sound, and I said, I get the same thing all the time. Lightning with no sound.
We had some of that in Orlando. I took a little trip. Yeah. Got a break from emails. I missed all of yours. Sorry, no guys. I'm catching up now. I'm halfway through. And the sky was lighting up. We were in the jacuzzi. So our phones were not near us. They were locked up in the room. And the sky was alive with lightning and no sound. So I'm thinking heat lightning. Do you think, Jane, that's heat lightning? Like the good old fashioned stuff that can't strike a pool, can't hit anything?
That's a great question because I don't really, it seems like there was always thunder with lightning, but maybe it's just different wherever you live or something.
My grandma used to tell me that if the sky was lit up with lightning and there was no sound, she called it heat lightning. And she'd be like, I don't know, 110 if she was alive now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know if that exists. I don't even know if heat lightning is a real thing or if it's just what my grandparents called silent lightning.
Like just so far away that it can't carry the sound, or like the lightning? Yeah. Like maybe regular lightning, but it's just so far away. Because I've seen it on a completely clear night. So I know, there's not a cloud in the sky. That's crazy.
There has to be a cloud somewhere producing that light, right?
That's what I thought. And I came back like an hour later, and it felt like I shifted into a different dimension. The whole sky was like a blanket of clouds, and there was lightning. So I guess it was just beyond the horizon and moving in.
You just couldn't see the clouds, but you could catch the lightning. Although having said that, all of my research on the grand solar minimum and the changes in the sun with lower solar flares, more magnetic geostorms hitting the Earth says we're supposed to get a lot of plasma shows like a lot of plasma anomalies
Hmm.
that we probably won't be able to explain.
So that's some of the things. I've seen some pictures like that where it looks
I
like
have to.
lightning bolts in the sky. Just they
And
don't
there's like
really
no
look like
clouds.
lightning.
And you're
Right,
like,
right.
where are the clouds for those
Yeah.
lightning
It's
bolts?
like, is that a wormhole? Something's about to come
Is
through or
that a
something?
wormhole? Is that to another dimension? And it could be. I mean, who knows? Why wouldn't they be
Yeah.
wormholes to other dimensions? But they're definitely supposedly happening from the huge magnetic outpourings from the sun hitting our very weak magnetosphere,
Hmm.
and it will light it up. Now, other people blame chemtrails for that. They say the metal in the air is lighting up. So I'm going with magnetosphere, grand solar minimum. It could be the other, but then, it gets into HARP, HAARP. Is that how you say it? And that whole machine is designed to hit nanoparticles of metal to create plasma. That's the
Mm.
whole design of HARP. So, I don't know what's natural and what's not natural because it all seems to blend together, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it seems like in sessions when I ask about certain things like that, I'm like, is it natural or is it this? I get both. There's a little
Seriously?
mixture of both. Like so if we're talking about, for instance, you can look up at pretty much any day now, you can look up at the clouds near the sun and you can see this rainbow iridescence.
Yes,
So it's
yes,
all brand
yes.
new to me. The last few
Yep.
years, before that they were just white. They looked some form of white, but now they're like rainbowy iridescence. You'll get like rainbow halos. So my question was, is this, what they're
Natural.
spray, or is it like, the new Earth and some new frequencies coming in, and it's a little of both. They're trying to stop what's coming in, and I think what they're stopping is creating
Oh,
the rainbow effect or something.
okay,
So I
so
think it's a little
because
bit of
I'd love
both.
to have clarity on that. When we do
Yeah,
our session, I'll ask for some more clarity too, but I'm sure you'll get the same answer,
yeah,
which is frustrating because we want it to be natural. We suspect that it's not, and then to hear that it's a little bit of both means we'll never know. We'll never know which one's natural and which one
right.
isn't.
Can we get a 50, 50, 40, 60
Yeah,
something? How much is what?
because I'm finally seeing those iridescent clouds down towards the equator, and you guys had them at least for a year or two now, right?
Yeah.
And I'd see Dead GPK putting them up, and Kim Trails and Amanda B. A lot of people from this, Jane, a lot of people from this channel just post the sky a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And I always thought, well, how come we don't have rainbow clouds closer to the equator? And finally, this summer, we got them. And they're always
Mm.
kind of pink on the edges. Did you notice that rainbow clouds are always going towards pink instead of going towards red or
Sometimes
purple?
they're just all mixed together here. There'll be like a pink looking section, one that's more of a greenish blue,
Oh, I haven't
or is
seen
that
that yet.
cyan, or I forgot how you pronounce that color, but it's sort of a greenish blue
Yeah.
color. But it will have an iridescence between the two, like it's slowly, it's just a real pastelly, iridescent look to the clouds, and it's all around it.
Very pastel and very iridescent and lots of pink
Yeah,
down here. So maybe in time we'll get those other colors.
yeah, you'll love it. It's beautiful. Actually, if you adjust your camera down where the sun's not so bright, they look thick like smoke
Yeah, I don't
bombs.
know how to do that. I'll have to
Yeah.
get with you on Hangouts and you can tell me how to do
Most of
that.
the time, you can take your phone, you can tap right on the sun,
Okay.
and it will tone it down for wherever you tap.
Wow.
It'll adjust it for that. So yeah, most
Okay.
of the smartphones now you can, but you have to hold it still because if you tap where the sun is and then move it, then it's not going to be. So you want to,
Hard.
not zoom in too far. Tap right on it, take your picture. A lot of times from there, on mine, there's a little slider. You have a Samsung too, right?
I do.
So once you tap on there, there'll be a slider to make it brighter, darker as well.
Okay, I'll
But
try that then now that I
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Because I'm still getting, well, lately a yellow sun, but there's times that it's white. So I'm finding that it's white when I'm looking through a lot of haze, white
yeah.
haze. And then I'm finding when it's a really blue, clear sky, it's more yellow. So sometimes I think the sun isn't changing colors, but maybe the different clouds and different things in the clouds are obscuring the color a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
It seems to be the more above my head it is, the more white it looks. Like
Yes.
the less atmosphere it has to go through, perhaps, or something.
Yes, and then the further down on each horizon, rising or setting, the more yellow it looks. For
Yeah.
sure. Like at sunset, it looks very yellow if I can see
Hmm.
it.
But sometimes it's almost like copper looking, like when the reflection of a penny, the
At
way that.
sunset, have you noticed
Yeah,
that? I don't
and
see many sunrises. It might be
that's not
sunrise too.
really that's not the color I remember as a
Yeah,
child.
copper's
So
really odd.
yeah,
And then we're getting those bright yellow orange skies. Have you been seeing our
yeah,
community throwing them up?
yeah,
Bright yellow, bright orange, and sometimes super pink skies all around.
yeah. Sometimes it's so pink. Oh my goodness.
So pink. And then, like when you're watching TV, especially kids' cartoons, if they come on, you'll see where they recolored the sky pink so that the kids are watching cartoons with cartoon characters in a pink sky.
Mm.
And I'm thinking, I would have noticed that back in the day when they originally made that cartoon. I'd be
Yeah.
like, why is the sky pink? Because, the sky's blue. It's always blue.
Now, are you sure they're changing it or recoloring it, or maybe it got Mandela?
How would I know? It could be
Yeah,
Mandela or it could be AI online, or in the
coloring everything.
digitized
Yeah,
world, they say, change the skies in these programs to pink.
just never know.
And then when they do airline ads now, guys, look in newspapers and on billboards, look out the window of the person sitting who's flying, and it'll always be pure white. It's like they'll never put blue there anymore or blue with white clouds. It'll be pure white through the little holes of the window when they're shooting people inside the airplane.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, these are subtle changes that I'm noticing. And I guess I get the feeling that some of it is Mandela and some of it is done on purpose. A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Let me ask
Slowly.
you this
Hmm.
rainbow, what color's on top and what color's on the bottom when you get a natural full rainbow in the sky?
Oh gosh, did it flip flop? It was red on the top always and purple in the bottom for me.
Okay, then that's the way it is. Because somebody sent me a question mark going, when did red go on the top of the rainbow? Why isn't it purple on the top and red on the bottom? And that made me think the rainbow was Mandela. I had dual memories of both ways.
Right.
So I couldn't pick one.
What
But
is
you
your avatar's right, isn't it?
don't know because I'm looking at my avatar now and it's red on top, purple on the bottom. And that is a stock image off of just searching rainbows.
I could be way too close to rainbows to see that change though, because
Well, I
I've
don't
always
know.
drawn pictures with them. I've memorized the red,
That's
orange,
good
yellow,
though.
green,
You're a
blue,
good person to
purple.
ask that.
But it also means I might have taken the download of the new way. Nope, it's always been that way because I remember it always red, always being on top. But
Interesting.
with Pink Floyd's Prism album cover, with the lights coming through, I've
Yeah.
seen that flip flop. It was
Have you?
backwards at one point, and I remember thinking that wasn't backwards before. And then I saw it changed to is that Dark Side of the Moon? Let me
Dark
see.
side of the moon. Could it be because it went through the prism, the triangle of glass that it flipped it?
That's what I thought at the time. I'm like, man, could I be backwards? No, it's back to red on the top. So yeah, for a while there, the red was on the bottom of that, and I was thinking exactly what
Oh my
you said.
gosh.
So it flip flopped on me. Well, I'm not even sure about the initial change. I just knew when I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, the red used to be on the top, like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. It was in the direction that I knew it to be with rainbows. And then when I looked at that and saw it was the other way, I thought what you were saying. I'm like, well, maybe it was always been flipped and I didn't really pay it much attention. But now that it's back, somebody's wearing a shirt out one day, and I was like, oh my gosh, their shirt is residue. That's what I was thinking.
Oh right, but it's
But
back.
it switched back, so I looked it up again, and it switched back. I was so glad I didn't stop the person and take a picture of their shirt. They were
Yeah, like, oh my God, do you realize you're wearing residue? And they're like, what, ketchup, eggs? What kind of residue? Breakfast?
breakfast residue, rainbow
Breakfast.
residue.
You're wearing rainbow residue. Okay, guys, so let's all keep an eye out and see if the rainbow flips again. And if purple goes on top and red goes on the bottom. If it does, we will surely remember this conversation, right?
Or will it get Mandela? I often wonder that. It's like,
Yeah,
let's see. Does anybody remember red on the bottom, purple on the top? Do you remember that
I
reality?
kind of do. I have a dual memory of it.
Let's see. Michelle is saying that it used to be red on bottom and purple on top for me.
That's how I remember it too. Michelle's opinions?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about the same age. I remember it that way too.
See, now I'm thinking of the double rainbows. Are they inverted from one another? Or are
I
they
don't
both the
remember
same
double
way?
rainbows, how they go. But I just remembered the red being on the bottom where the heat is, because it was a hot color, going up to the cooler colors until you were in purples, violet.
Okay, I think this double rainbow here. Oh my gosh, the double rainbows are flipped.
Do they mirror each other, do you
Yeah, let
mean?
me pull it up for you guys to look here. Cause let's see. Let me find it on this computer. Double rainbow. Because the double rainbow is new to me.
I've
So
seen, like, as a child, I saw maybe two. So it was rare. It had to be rare.
yeah, and I didn't see it until I was an adult. So okay, so if I pull this up, if I click, you can see the reds face each other now. See the? Let me make it bigger.
What? Because that puts the purple on the bottom, look,
Yeah,
and the red on the top.
yeah.
What
For
the?
this one, but the red on the bottom, like you guys remember it. And is this the bleeding of two dimensions or something? That's interesting. Here we have it again. The red's on the top, like I remember it, but
Okay, red
not on
on the
the
top, the
double
way you
rainbow.
remember it. Red on the bottom,
Red on the bottom,
the
like you
way we
guys remember
remember
it.
it.
It's interesting. Here we got them again,
Very,
facing each other.
very, very interesting. Now, the double rainbows that I remember were had a lot more space between them than those. Those are really close together.
This does look like it might be a the type of camera that's kind of squashed everything. Let me see. Oh, that looks fake even. It might be. I can't tell. You never know these days.
You never know with CGI being so good, like that one. If I saw that, I'd
Yeah.
be like, "Whoa, New Earth is here! Right
Right.
through that
Just
rainbow,
walk through the archway. You're
go
there,
through the
dude.
lights. You're there." Speaking of which, I did kind of an interesting, somewhat controversial video on Trump's Space Force
hmm
and whether or not we need to fight aliens. And oh, look at that one.
Somebody didn't get the memo on that.
No, but they got the red on top, didn't they? They didn't get the memo on switching it for a double.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, trying to be like inclusive.
hmm
A lot of the people in the contact and disclosure community are saying that there's a war going on right outside our airspace. Good aliens, bad aliens, just like on Earth. Good people, bad people. And then a smaller group of people are saying, no, once you get out into more advanced civilizations, they've overcome that dualistic tendency towards aggression. And if you're going to be allowed out there, you have to cooperate.
hmm
So I'm from the Law of One, not Law of One. I'm from the A Course in Miracles side of things. Like you were talking with, was it Aaron?
Aaron
Had on
Apke.
great show. And my contact experience has always been that it's kind of a galactic brotherhood, and we can't join because we're too aggressive and too warlike, and that we really have to get more peaceful down here before we can even join something out there. But then a lot of people are getting the message that there's a big war going on out there and the good guys are going to win. We don't know for sure, but the good guys will probably win, and the bad guys probably won't. Reptilians are bad, grays are bad, everybody else is good. And then you got people saying, no, grays are okay. They just serve a different kind of function. They're not real emotional. They're kind of robotic, and saying, no, there's good reptilians too. Especially if you read that book by Ray Hernandez
hmm
and the Noetic Sciences and Edgar Mitchell. Really positive stories about reptilians and grays in there. So I was wondering, could it be, how we always say, whatever you focus on grows, whatever you focus on, you attract to you.
hmm
could it be that when this earth splits, right, and we get into a kind of a higher dimensional new earth, that those will be the people who expect a peaceful experience amongst all life, and that people who expect a warring experience with alien life will stay on 3D Earth because it reflects what's going on down here already? Could that be because I'm not understanding why some people say, no, 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 there's war out there, and other people say, no, there isn't. No, there isn't. Yes, there is. No, there isn't. Could that also be a sign of the split?
Yeah, one thing that I often wonder about is if, because a lot of times people won't draw a distinction between what they think of as extra or non terrestrials and angels and demons. So there's this whole conversation about, that any kind of extraterrestrial is a fallen angel,
Yep. I've seen
which
that.
I always say that, like, biblically speaking, there's always 2 times as many good angels as there is bad fallen angels
That's
because
good to
a
know.
third got kicked out. So there's 2 to 1,
That's good. The odds are in our favor.
Right. But I mean, even in that thinking, if you're thinking, aliens or demons, then you got to think, well, twice as many of what you're thinking of as demons are good extraterrestrials or angels, right? Because biblically speaking, only a third got kicked out. So that's my thought with that. But I also wonder is if we create along the lines of what you were saying, a lot of the what we typically think of as demonic, uh, spiritual, warfare or whatever is a lot of that, in my opinion, is the product of our own mind and our own creation. So we're
I think
fighting
so.
what we've created, basically.
But
And
are we
so
projecting that out there now? Are we taking our creation
for
and
our
projecting
reality,
it further? Yeah.
yeah, but I don't think it even affects them. I think it just affects our perception of, what's
What's out
out
there?
there. Yeah, totally. I think we totally create the reality we want. That's why, for
Well,
some
I've been
people,
listening to Stephen Greer, and I saw that you listened to one of Stephen Greer's too.
yeah.
He's one of the few guys with his latest lectures, because he used to always talk about Project Bluebeam, faking an alien invasion. Now he's talking about joining a galactic federation of life
Hmm.
in the immediate vicinity that is watching us and encouraging us and just wanting us to kind of get things under control here, live cooperatively, compassionately, peacefully, so that we can join them out there in a bigger arena. And I'm like, wow, you've switched messages from the Project Bluebeam to, hey guys, we need to get our skates on and really kind of solve the problems of human aggression and war so that we can move on. And I'm getting the same message. And a bunch of people in that book that Ray Hernandez spoke about, they're getting the same message. And we're the quiet, not known, not famous people who are
Hmm.
getting the messages of peace and brotherhood and sisterhood, and compassion and New Earth, the event.
Yeah.
It fits in with the shift, with all of that ties in and fits nicely together like a puzzle piece.
I really think it does come down to love or fear. And I think fear really creates obstacles that don't need to be there, but that's part of the experience we want to experience if that's where we're at. You know what I mean? So
So, do
it's
you
okay for
think,
people.
in your
Mhm.
opinion, if people are expecting a war, a space war, do you think they're projecting their own fears out further, or that there really is that going on out there for them because they're creating their own reality? So, does my question even make sense? Do you think that just because they believe aliens are just like humans and fighting it out and duking it out everywhere, that that's reality? They're creating that reality? Or do you think they're just projecting their own fears into a place where they don't exist?
Mm. I wouldn't say, I'd say if they've created it, it goes somewhere that does exist. I think thoughts create things. So I think it goes out there, but it could just be part of their reality and not part of mine as well. But I think they've created that. I think there's a whole consensus reality depending on your belief systems that you might go to or that exists there. You know what I
Like
mean?
let's say the law of one reality. If you
Hmm.
study and follow the law of one, which a lot of people in our community do, you would expect there to be good aliens, bad aliens, and a space war. But if you follow Stephen Greer and the Ray Hernandez book, you would be talking about life forms at a dimension where war didn't exist anymore. War is not part of their paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
So we couldn't even interact with them unless war wasn't a part of our paradigm. We'd have to match their frequency level in order to interact with them.
Right, and I think that gets back to perspective. You know, are we looking from a 3D perspective, a 4D, 5D, 6D? I think once we get up into 6 and 7D, we're looking at something where, you know, there's more harmony, you know, than say at the fourth dimensional level, which is above us, but there could be wars going on, or we definitely know there's negative entities at that level.
Well,
So
then
is that the level we're
you're more like an ACIM person. Then you're more of a Course in Miracles person, saying that aggression does not fit my personal paradigm. So you're not going to go to the law of one level and be in a galactic war. You're going to go above that to a Course in Miracles level and be with other beings that also are peaceful. Peace is their paradigm. They no longer have war and aggression as part of their reality. So it means that everybody is going to go to a slightly different place.
hmm I think whatever we become a frequency match for, you know. So if you're resonating with that peaceful world and all of that, I don't think you have to have all that chaos be a part of your reality. You know what
No,
I mean?
I do
I
know.
think you can observe it, but you don't have to let it into your sphere of experience, so to speak. You know?
Well, disclosure's on, and it's called confirmation now. And
hmm
if you follow To the Stars Academy and Tom DeLonge, it's no longer called disclosure, it's called confirmation. And
What do they do?
UFO,
That
yeah,
switch up the names midstream, throw
yeah,
people off.
UFOs are not UFOs, they're UAPs. And they do pose a military threat to us if you follow the To the Stars Academy. And I'm keep thinking they're doing all the programming on Netflix, like Stranger Things, which I loved. I enjoyed that show. That show was fun. But they are doing the really scary stuff to get at the younger generation because they've given up on us, convincing us that there's a strategic threat right outside of the earth. We're like, no, there isn't. No, there isn't. So now they're going after the kids to kind of like get them used to the idea that if it's not on earth, kill it, you know,
Right.
before it kills you, you know, that kind of mentality.
Yeah, it's all rooted in that whole just the victim mentality, really. You know, they're out to get us, they're gonna get us, something's out to get us, they can control us, they can, you know, just and really you have to give your sovereignty away for that to happen. But if they
I'm
can
not
get you
sure they're
to
going to work though. I'm not sure that the militaristic mentality can actually affect our children and our grandchildren. What do you think? I think they're kind of immune to that. You
I think if
know,
they could pull that off, then we'd probably end up with a bunch of L's as well. These people, kids that figured out how to use powers in an extraordinary way. I think there would
every show
always be a
they make,
balancing.
yeah,
Yeah,
is it all about that, isn't it? Aren't kids
right.
like always blowing things up and pushing things with their hands and their mind?
Yeah. Oh, with just a little nosebleed, you
Yes, that's it.
know.
You've seen Stranger Things, just or a lot of them. There's so many shows now showing kids' powers coming on board, aren't there?
Yeah. And I used to dream of powers as a kid, you know, and gosh, when I think of it like these days, you know, kids are liable to tap into something, you know what I
Well,
mean, with the energies.
what if part of that is coming from the broken up magnetosphere and the sun changing and these cosmic waves that we're going through, the photon clouds. NASA is
Yeah.
talking about us going through a photon cloud finally, because other people were talking about it. So we couldn't prove it, right? We needed some authoritative proof that it actually existed. And they're talking about helium clouds and photonic clouds. What if those clouds with a weak magnetosphere turn our kids into superheroes, you know, with superpowers?
Yeah, and you think about how often shows have come out like that. Like they had the show Heroes, where everybody
Heroes,
started developing these
X-Men,
abilities. Yeah,
Stranger Things, X-Men, Heroes. There's so many.
and it seemed
Eight.
far fetched
There's a show
before.
called Eight, something like that.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with it now, though. It's totally within my realm of possibility. You know,
Yeah,
anything's possible.
I kind of feel like if kids' powers came on board, the majority of the kids are pretty good, and they wouldn't use them for militaristic means to get rid of a whole species. You
Right.
know, I have a feeling that they would be a little bit more open
Yeah.
to communicating with other life forms.
Yeah, it's really blown me away to see how many kids can see the Mandela effect and not freak out about it. They're like, yeah, I've seen that
Oh,
or
they don't
whatever. It's
care.
like, no big deal.
I
You've seen
know.
it a lot with your daughter and her friends,
I
right?
know, and they're all like 18 to 24. And I'm like, how can you guys even see Mandela effects? You've not been alive long enough to know what things used to be like. And they're like, oh, yeah, we see it with our own songs, our own shows. They see shows when they were kids, and now they've been changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Pikachu's the perfect example of my
Yeah.
son drawing that black part of the towel in his classroom and having to finish that up before the class ended. And so he's got that peg, memory peg in that
What about his
Pikachu.
artwork? Does he still have it, and did it get changed?
No, he doesn't have it anymore. It
Okay.
was by the time it had changed, it had been like 2 years before that had happened. So yeah.
Oh, I know. It'd be cool to see what happened to his artwork.
I know there's so many things I'm like, oh, I wish I had that. But I found a few things. Like when I was going to school for art, we had this modeling class that I created this alien on the moon, and it was all about like using picture textures to create this very real sort of environment. And one of the things I made was a Coke bottle, a glass Coke bottle, like on the moon, with the alien holding it. So it was, that was sort of the theme. Like he found this empty Coke bottle in the moon picture, and when I pulled it up, the glass I made, it had been modeled, but it had a texturing from a photo, and evidently that logo had changed to the new one, and it had changed in my artwork. So once
So
again,
it did
artwork
change
that
in
did
your
change.
artwork.
Yeah, so it didn't preserve it or anything. Even running it through the 3D program, you think it might have survived it, but no. It's like it's always
Your
been that
other
way.
artwork changed too when you were doing the Mona Lisa for the book. You didn't add the hairnet, but something added the hairnet.
Exactly.
But these are kept
And then the
online.
wart thing
Oh yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. The wart, is that still there? Does she still have
Yeah,
like
it's
a
still
mole by
there.
her eye?
Yeah, but it wasn't there before, and it was like I had really got in there, and when you're working in digital art, you'll be zoomed in the whole screen. Your whole screen is the eyeball, so you're
Yeah.
like really zoomed in on. There's no way I would have missed that big mole or wart on this edge of the bridge of her nose. You know
But
what
do
I
you think
mean?
because you kept the stuff online on a computer, you kept it stored on a computer that was online, that there could have been greater access to it for the Mandela effect? Whereas if you did it by hand and you put it in a drawer,
I don't know. The one the map one that I had was on
mhm,
on a hard drive that was not connected to the internet. It was
and
just
it
sitting there,
changed.
and it changed. Yeah. So
Okay,
did
and
it
of course my
update the
Bible
moment
too.
did it update the moment I plugged it in? I don't know. I don't
My
think so.
Bible's never been plugged in, and it says, the lion and the lamb is gone in my Bible, and it's underlined from when I studied it in the 1980s at
Yeah.
university, and that's not online, and that changed.
Yeah. So I don't think it matters. Plus, every time I've undone something with the Mona Lisa, you would think if there's some sort of AI algorithm going through and searching for old ones to switch into the new ones, they would have come across mine and mistaken it for the original and then added the mole again, right? But that didn't happen. So
It's
it
like, who
appears
added the mole? Where did the
right,
mole come from?
right. And the
Whose thought
smile.
process? Where did that come from?
It's hilarious. But it's like how many times I think it's like it's such a I don't think I would have stared at the painting in its current state as long because that enigmatic look on her face was sort of what made you sort of study it a little bit
Yeah,
longer.
you're like, is
Is
she
she
smiling or
smiling?
not? No,
Because
she's
you could
not
almost
smiling.
see her as like shy, angry. You could even see it like as kind of a smart, aleck, smirky
Yeah,
look.
or
You could see
sad.
it so many different, yeah, or sad. So it really depended on how you looked at it, and I remember looking and think, why is this so popular? Maybe it's because you can't really tell what she's thinking or whatever. But now she's clearly smiling, and that wasn't that way. And you can still find
Definitely.
articles where people write about, the
The
fact that,
enigmatic smile.
right, exactly.
I don't know. We
So
just got to keep our eye on the artwork and see if it changes again, especially the thinker. See if he somehow, his hair changes, the helmet changes, the hand
yeah,
changes in any way. I mean,
but
even going back to this would make more sense
yeah,
than that.
sucking on the knuckles
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, with the Mona Lisa, I think whoever saw that during the shift, like, they looked at it, looked away, looked back, and she's smiling, they got the best seats in the house on that one. Think about how creepy that
Oh,
would be. If you looked and then you looked away and looked back and the expression changed, it's almost like she's smiling at you. That'd be
that
pretty
would be
creepy.
pretty amazing. Now, I do know there were a couple of different versions of it,
Hmm.
but the main version is the one that everybody references,
Yeah.
not his earlier versions.
Yeah, so for me, it was the smile was the first change, Mandela effect
Yep.
change. and then
The
after,
hairnet?
and then the hairnet, and then the mole.
That's a lot of changes.
Yeah, but that was 3 stages of me having. I actually didn't. I did the hairnet and the mole on one update. So I fixed the smile, and then somebody was like, "Why don't you take the hairnet?" I'm like, "What hairnet?" And I
What
go and
hairnet?
look
What are you
at it,
talking about?
and
There's
then
no
there's a
hairnet on
hairnet on
her.
there. I'm like,
There's no
"Oh my
hairnet on
gosh!
her.
Oh
Have
my
you seen
gosh!"
the conspiracy artwork videos where if you like cut them down the middle and duplicate, okay, mirror them. So you fold half of it away and then you take the other side and you flip it so that the one side meets itself in the middle. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, yeah.
You get weird pictures of ladders, Jacob's ladder, and triangles, and the Illuminati eye in the pyramid.
Hmm.
Do you ever see those?
No, I did see one where you can. They show half of Mona Lisa's face and half of Da Vinci's face, and say he was the same person. That was him in drag, or
Oh,
something like that, and
interesting.
it matches real perfectly. So it makes you wonder about that. But that was before the Mandela effect even happened to it. I don't know if
Well,
that could.
supposedly, when these artists were drawing, they were in the Illuminati, but it was good back then. It didn't go south until Scottish Freemasonry got a hold of it and brought it to America. So late 1700s. And before that, they were putting all kinds of secret signs and symbols into
Yeah,
things. Like I heard that same thing about Last Supper.
yeah.
But somebody actually got residue of the grail, the cup, the chalice in front of
Hmm.
Jesus in the picture. And, very small channel. And it's just called, I found the grail in the Last Supper. And he flips through a book in black and white. And sure enough, in that picture of the original, the way we remember it, you couldn't see their feet. So you didn't know if they were barefoot or had sandals. There was no tombstone door in front of the table at all. And there was one cup on the table right in front of Jesus.
Yeah,
He wasn't touching it though. And it looked like a very simple brass or bronze cup of the age.
yeah,
Nothing fancy.
yeah.
So
That's what I remember. The brass, sort of.
yeah.
Yeah,
And he found it. I think I sent that to you when I found this guy had actually
yeah.
found it and put it out there. And it
See,
was in an old art book in his house.
another thing that's always weird to me when I see that doesn't feel right, but I can't quite remember what it used to be like. It's the fact that they have windows behind them. It didn't feel like they had windows before.
No, no
Like you couldn't
windows.
tell the time of day. So when I see it look like it's daytime now, it's like, wait a minute. I imagine the supper in the upper room was late at night. It's almost always depicted that way too
But
when you watch.
somebody very famous, I watched a documentary on the painting itself.
Hmm.
Someone very famous, like, I don't know, could be a pope, could be a baron or a duke, commissioned other artists to copy that Last Supper into his cathedral or whatever. So
Hmm.
I wonder if there's two versions of it out there and whether the copy wasn't really very specific, very identical.
Yeah. Did you see the one where the bread scattered about plays a song? If you put like a. Okay. So
No. Yes, I did. Did you play it? Did you hear the music?
yeah, I can't remember what it was
Wherever
now.
the bread roll is where the note is, right?
Right, but it's ridiculous because the bread that wasn't scattered all over like that. For me, it wasn't. It's not
No,
even
it
on the
wasn't. It was like
plates.
their whole the little bread rolls up, down, like music, like notes.
Right. Yeah. And I remember like when the Da Vinci Code came out. Really studying that painting then more than
That's
usual.
when he said there's no cup. It was in the Da
Yeah.
Vinci Code, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he goes, "Close your eyes. What do you see? Where's the cup?" And she goes, "The cup is near Jesus. Open your eyes. See, there is no cup." It's almost like the producers of that movie were playing with us with
Yeah.
Mandela affected people before the Mandela effect was popular. That came out long before, right?
Yeah. And did you ever see the JFK movie back when it
I
came out?
did back in
Did
the
it
day.
did it catch your attention back then as not being right, or
No, it
did
only
that
had four
change?
people in it. It only had
Oh, really? So wait. When that movie first came out, who did that again? Was it
Oliver Stone
Oliver
with
Stone?
Kevin Costner or
Yeah.
Kevin Costner.
Right.
So I did realize after our last show that I have a dual memory, that now I remember him as Kevin Costner, but I looked through on the internet and I realized that in my youth I remembered him as Cosner. Kevin Costner, Cosner.
Wow.
So I got the download on the T.
That's weird. That's how we pointed out that song "I Love Rock and Roll." Did you see that change yet?
Yes, put another
Okay,
coin in the jukebox, baby.
right, right.
When you
So
saw him standing there by the record
exactly,
machine, now it's when you saw him dancing there by the record machine.
yeah, and that's ridiculous. But
That is ridiculous.
when I heard it, I'm like, wait, I've heard it dancing before. And it feels like you hear stuff, and you're not like watching every single lyric to see if it's
I guess you have to
changed.
sing it. If you sing it out loud, see what pops out of your mouth.
Right.
Sunny 3 had one on today. She was driving and her radio was on. And Aerosmith, Dream. Did he do Dream
Dream
on?
on. Yeah.
Dream on. Dream
Yeah.
until your dream
Oh,
come
did
true. So it used to be dream until your dreams come true, and now it's dream until your dream come true. So it's like grammatically incorrect. The
sort of
S is
like
gone. The S is gone.
like, and I pretend to pray. Got that on. So yeah, I've been noticing a lot of it is grammatical. Like the tense is all wrong with that.
Tense is all wrong when you drop the plural.
Yeah.
And
And that's a
a
weird
lot
one
of
because
I's are turning into I on songs.
yeah.
When I look into and it used to always be eyes, your big brown eyes, whatever, and now it's your I.
Isn't that a trip?
Isn't that a trip?
And I saw a video, I forgot who put it out that they were talking about, and like some of them I checked weren't changed, so I don't know if it's part of it.
Yes, because you and I went on one night and started to see if we could find songs that still had eyes, and we did.
Right. So I don't know, but that doesn't mean you didn't catch it in the middle of a shift because we've had that before where like the whole Costner thing. That's why I circled it when I put it on Facebook. I'm like, at the time that I'm posting this, it's spelled Costner at the top and Costner at the bottom, to the old way, to the new way. So if someone looks at it in the future, they don't think I'm crazy because they're like,
Do
what?
you
It's
still have that?
Costner everywhere.
Do you still
Yeah, I
have that
posted it
both
on
ways?
Facebook. Yeah.
Good, because you might want to download that and keep that offline somewhere because it seems like some things are in between both ways during a change. Like you've caught it when it hasn't decided which way it's going to go yet.
Yeah. So you can see both ways right there. And a lot of times it doesn't make sense. You can look up a product and the product's the new way, but everybody's describing it
Yeah,
underneath.
I got that and I posted it like 6 months ago. I would just Google search Home Depot and the Home Depot, and I would find it both ways in the same listing.
Uh,
So that not where you do the search, because that could just be autofill. But when you go away from the search entry into what the company is posting, you will
yeah.
see they put it both ways. Chuck E. Cheese put it both ways. The Home Depot did it both ways. So they're marketing it to us both ways right now.
Yeah. And they're buying up the web addresses. The one that I was surprised about, though, was it was the one that Sherry brought up about the Smackers lip stuff. And they had a web address that they had written out on a post-it in one of their advertisement that was like smackers.com or whatever it was. That doesn't exist anymore. You can try to go to that. And this was so far back that I think that post-it, they really got
Oh
somebody
yeah,
with
Lip
nice
Smackers.
handwriting.
You can't go to that web address anymore.
Nope. Nope. Right in their advertisement, that they didn't buy that up. Most of the time they'll buy it both ways, so it's hard to prove anything. Like I'm sure if you look up like liquid plumbers, they're going to have it the way we remember it already bought, even though they don't call it that. So they own
And,
it
and the
still.
Home Depot still has homedepot.com. They got the old web address. And Chuck E. Cheese's still has the original Chuck E. Cheese as a web
Mm,
address. They're still using the old original.
right.
So when you go there, you will see the web address is the old way, but then everything on the page is the new way.
Yeah. It's like Beats by Dre. Switching that's still the web address, but now it's Beats by Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
The
So
headphones.
I'm
Yeah.
like, why aren't corporations catching this and fixing it, and either picking one way or the other?
And we all know how they are about branding. If anybody that works in the logo
Oh, yeah,
or
very
feel,
careful.
yeah, some places are like, look, you can't even put another logo within. So, what percentage of the width of our logo? Do not put any other logos even close to that. Because I've worked for people that were doing like, I don't know, some sort of event that was sponsored by all these people, and they had stipulations about not putting any other logo even near their logo. Leaving so much space around
Yep.
it. So they're real particular about it, and they're real
Very
particular about the
particular
font,
about their
the
branding.
colors. Yeah, because it's a brand.
Apostrophes or no apostrophes.
Exactly.
That's what's changing a lot is apostrophes are getting dropped, which makes
Mm-hmm.
it possessive
Yeah.
instead of plural, and S's are getting dropped, which changes
Right.
it to singular from plural.
And as a logo designer, I remember there was times when they didn't send you the file, right? But they're like Revlon's a good example, right? So Revlon uses a pretty, or they used to use a pretty standard looking font. So if they didn't send you the file, you'd just go and you'd find it and manipulate it a little bit to make it match because there wasn't really much unique about it. So what you'll notice in the newspapers is that designers that did that took that shortcut and said, I'll just
Mhm.
reproduce it really fast. It doesn't change when it changes because they just simply use their consciousness to try to mimic
Oh,
it the best they could. So you'll find old Revlon ones, but I know
yeah,
it's the
fonts are
designer got
getting
in there.
crazy now. They're getting super space aged with A's without a crossbar, T's
Yeah,
without a
upside
left
down
side,
V's. Yeah,
connecting things. Like it'd be really hard now as a logo designer for you to be able to cheat some of those.
yeah,
Yeah, because they
yeah,
connect certain words are connected, right? In Walgreens, like some words are connected and some aren't.
yeah. Cracker Barrel's another one that's got these little cuts into the letters that I don't remember being there before. It's really strange looking.
Very.
And a lot of the R's, I think Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood's one where the R is just ridiculously the bottom of it. And I've seen a
Yeah,
few of the
Purple
R's.
Rain, same thing. Really
Yeah,
weird,
yeah,
elongated R's. But some of that, not all of it, could be corporations messing around with their own logos and their own,
yeah,
fonts. But
yeah,
then there'd be no way for us to know for sure unless you go back and research it. And it says it's always been that way, which is what happens to us. We go to Logopedia online and it says always been that way,
yeah.
right?
But they even had one of those old Volkswagen buses, like all rusted out in the back of this flea market, and you could look and see the logo on the front was the not what we think of as the original one, but the one with the little break in between the V and the W. So you can see right there. I mean, it's not like they couldn't have gone into this place and replaced that logo. You know what I mean? So it's not just all online. And if that would have been something that would have survived, it would have had the original logo on the
That would have
front with
been
the break.
cool. Just like the
Yeah.
original logo did survive on Back to the Future, didn't it? If you zoom in on the white VW bus, I think it's the first movie, maybe it's in all the movies, I don't know, maybe the first one he's at the mall. And other people say, I remember that bus being blue. Do you remember? But if you zoom in on it, it's still the old logo, right?
Mm, so that's interesting.
I mean, I see movies come up, they just pop up, old movies, and I'll see definitely notice when the old Volkswagen logo pops up for a little bit of the movie.
Hmm. Yeah, and then you think of the background of that same scene, the J.C. Penney's has changed to have the E in there.
Oh yeah,
You know,
was
that
that
was a
on Back to
huge
the
scene.
Future too? Did it not have the E in it? Was it the
Yeah,
original
originally it was J.C. Penney the original way, but then
PENNY? And was that in the
yeah,
movie that way too?
now it's got the EY now. So
Oh,
it was right to begin with though. I mean, it was like this huge. Clearly, they sponsored it because it's the backdrop of this whole
yep.
scene of
Oh
testing
yeah,
out the
the mall scene
DeLorean.
at night. Yep.
Yeah, and there it is, shining all bright in the background, but yet it's spelled a new way now. You know.
Well, I still think, it's hard though to get proof when you look up old advertisements because those old newspapers could have put the typos in wrong. You almost have to have it official from the company the original way. And when
Yeah.
you find the company putting it out themselves the original way, that's like solid proof of a Mandela effect.
Yeah. I heard there was one company that was actually trying to change their name back to the old way. I can't
Do you
remember. Do
know
you
which
remember?
one?
Seems like it might have been Febreze or one of those. I
Febreze,
thought
yeah, because Febreze is spelled so badly now, or Liquid Plumber is spelled so badly now.
Liquid Plumber, that's horrible. There's
That's
no way.
horrible.
I just wonder.
Plumbr, right?
Yeah,
No
yeah.
internet, no. So I don't know. I did hear an interview, a follow up that SMQAI did with the marketing guy, the CEO who owns the food supply company, who said, "Hey guys, there's Mandela effects, and it's affecting our business." Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And
He did a follow up
yeah, he
interview
did
with
a
him?
follow up with him, and it's a good interview. I think he did it during the week. Yeah, during this week or during last week, one of the others. It's easy to find. And he's like, God, there's all these sun changes and magnetosphere and Schumann resonance. And, all these things around us are changing, clouds. And SMQI goes, oh, so you think the Mandela effect is natural? And he goes, no, CERN, D-wave. It's like he was like saying, so you can see the dichotomy within people themselves who are affected. They don't know which way to go with this. They can see the natural things that are changing, and then they can see the theories on CERN and D-wave opening up portals.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see which way he goes, because I'm really prejudiced about this stuff now. And when I hear people sitting on the fence, I'm like, okay, they're honest. They're sitting on the fence like we do. Like, okay, we think it's this way, but we don't know for sure.
Right.
And then when people like start going, yeah, there's a lot of natural things happening too. This could just be, part of our evolution. Then I tend to go, yeah, they're for real too.
Right.
And then when I hear people pushing CERN or pushing D-wave, I immediately come up with in my mind,
suspicious.
I'm suspicious. Controlled opposition. It's just the way I am.
It's like the way all of us are, actually.
Yeah.
It's easy for people to say, oh, well, if they don't agree with whatever your belief is, that, oh, they must be a plant, they must be controlled opposition, they must be a shill. I get that all the time. Like, I wish I was getting paid.
That word's died off a bit, hasn't it? Shill used to be thrown around all the time. And now it's kind of like gone quiet, the shills.
That's nice. We've shifted away from that.
We have, haven't we? Because hardly any channels are getting hit by paid shills anymore. That seems to have stopped, don't you think?
I don't know. I don't really look around that much to know, but I don't know. It seems like there's always a flood of a ton of information. A lot of it is a distraction at times, even, So I don't really know.
Yeah, distraction. But it feels like it's getting better.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm programmed.
It is for me, but
yeah.
I'm not roaming around like I used to, which I don't know if a lot of people are.
I don't roam around nearly as much as I used to online.
If I do, it's usually somebody's like, hey, have you checked this channel out? You might want to check it out. And it's like word of mouth. So I'm not even really using the algorithm anymore. I know, like, I looked up like a couple of things on Epstein just to see what's going on.
Yeah, me too.
I'm beginning to get flooded with all this other. I'm like, look at all the distractions they're trying to send
I
me now.
know.
It's not even like my normal stuff.
And now in my suggested videos, it's all. But it is interesting because I did notice a bit of an Epstein whitewash going on, because I was more in the truther camp of things with the original Epstein scandal than I am now. Now I'm more into the event, the shift, the metaphysical ascension camp than I am in the truther. Like, we must wake everybody up and show them what's really going on with politics and stuff, and finance and stuff like that. I had a foot in each camp, and now I'm kind of shifting more towards the metaphysical. Let's just make it better by expecting it to be better. How good can it get? Cynthia. And, I noticed a change in the Epstein reporting. So here's the change that I noticed. Before Trump, they used to report on Clinton, especially Bill, being Epstein's BFF, and Prince Andrew. And they go, and Trump rode the Lolita Express like 4 times, but he didn't ride it 26 times like Bill Clinton or 8 times like Hillary Clinton. Now the reverse is true. Now that Trump is in office, they're out of the picture completely. They never knew Epstein, and Trump was Epstein's BFF. It's totally changed. The whole story has changed.
Yeah, and they even said that there was like Wikipedia pages changing, like they were going in there and editing and trying to remove connections.
The Clintons and the Democrats from the wiki pages with Epstein, but leaving Trump and the Republicans in. So it almost feels like, depending on who's in office, is what kind of skewed news they're going to give you. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That flavors the political. And of course, it's always favoring opposition, So opposition always must be created. So now I see why they're trying to link him up with Trump.
You can really see how there's that flip-flopping that goes on between parties in office, too, how like one party would do really well, and then it'll flip-flop, and the other party does really well, and then it'll flip-flop. Yeah. And you can watch it, and it's like, and I think what you're explaining is exactly what causes that. they always favor the underdog, so to speak. So,
Yeah, I
you
never feel
know,
like it's a Mandela effect, though. I always feel like it's programmed that way. Like it's
right, yeah.
intended to be that way.
Yeah, because they want to create the division, keep us focused on fighting, give each side a seeming fighting chance, right? Well, we're so close. We got to get out there. We got to get motivated to help switch the parties back, because our party's going to get in
Oh
there
yeah,
and
yeah.
do
They're getting
the
us ready
best
for that,
job.
aren't they, for 2020? They're like,
Yeah.
come on, let's get this polarized,
Hmm.
let's get the two camps going again. When really we need like 5 political parties at least to be running to even stand a chance of having one honest person in the bunch, right?
Yeah. But anybody that's not part of the two-party system is,
Doesn't stand a
and
chance.
oh
Doesn't have
yeah, and
enough
you can see
money.
it in the media. They don't even mention the people from
No,
those other parties.
you got to have a lot of
Yeah.
money, and to do that, you have to be party backed.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It really is interesting. And in a way, it's kind of good to stay away from that stuff, because what are you going to do? What are you going to say when you see right through it?
Yeah. It's easy to get triggered, but it's good practice not to watch it, to watch it and not get triggered by it,
Yeah,
because
it's good practice to not get triggered, but to still keep an eye out for what's going on the 3D side of things.
yeah. So I do. I'll pop my head up every now and then and see what's going on over here. Okay. I'll come back and check and see what you guys got going
You're
on
like,
later.
okay,
But
that's interesting, but not relevant to my life. I'm done with it. Move on.
yeah, you just wonder if it's going to be part of it. Part of the way you see things changing. And if it's not, I'm okay with however it's going to change. I know things are going to change for the better. So it doesn't have to happen the way I think it might happen. But I know it's going to happen eventually.
Exactly. We don't have to actually tell the universe how it's going to happen. We just know it
Yeah.
is and just expect it.
And that's just taking from Abraham Hicks, that's such a relief when you can realize that you don't really have to figure out how to get from point A to point B. You
No,
just have to figure out how to like vibrate or resonate with point B, and then the universe gets you there. So I mean, it really takes out all the figuring
takes
out
out
and
the
stuff.
pressure.
Yeah, it's really liberating if you can trust. So maybe that's a good segue into just having greater trust, that for a meditation or something about trusting the divine guidance when we get it. Or
And
did we have a
trusting,
topic already?
we don't have a topic. Trusting the internal gnosis,
Mm-hmm.
trusting the divine guidance, trusting the
Yeah,
higher self.
because it's all insight.
It's
Yeah,
all inside. That's where your information is coming, because everything on the outside is so convoluted.
yeah,
And one says this and the other says that, and you're like, well, which one should I believe? Again, you have to go and see which one you resonate with, which one you
yeah.
are drawn to.
But
That's an
it's still
internal
going within.
mechanism.
Mm-hmm. Really being driven by the heart virtues instead of the mind, because you can overanalyze things like crazy. I mean, how many
Yeah.
times have we got like a intuition to do something, and then our left brain steps in? Like, well, if you do that, they're going to think you're crazy. They might even call the cops on you. You never know. And then it's like,
Yeah,
it
left brain
unravels.
getting involved is a really difficult thing, because it gets very, very analytical.
Mm-hmm. And try to scare you off
Well,
of
do
the
you want to do that
plan.
next week or this week? Did you want to do the floods this week? Because we can't be too specific. These things stay out for decades, maybe even hundreds of years. We don't know how long YouTube will be active. Videos will be out there in the ether. Do
I
you
think their days are
want
numbered.
trust, internal trust, and gnosis? Or do you want
Maybe
to
that
do
will work.
floods?
Floods. We can do floods if you want.
No, I'm asking you. What do you feel like?
I say trust,
Yeah, let's do trust.
because that would cover the floods too. Those of you that's in an area where
And we can all send prayers that the ground can absorb it and the water slows down. We can all
Hmm.
do that as well.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, well, we got to get started here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, your sister. I was reading. Yes, trusting our divine guidance for restoring the natural
Hello,
order of
Leslie.
everything. I love that. Yeah, for restoring the natural order of
Thank you
everything.
for reminding me about that. We're learning through the Lynne McTaggart. Leslie and I are doing the year-long course with Lynn and a bunch of
Hmm.
people. And Leslie came up with um, when you're trying to change something and you want to
Hmm.
make it better, and you want to make it better the way it was like 10 years ago, 20 years ago when you were younger, whether it's your vitality or your health, she came up with restoring it to its divine natural order. And that made
Very
it
good.
so much easier for everybody in our group to have like a target. When you want to change something, change it to what? Better.
Right.
change it to healthy, change it to good. It's like, what's the word that we're trying to get to? And it's the divine natural order, getting it back to its divine natural purpose.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because especially if you think of it like in terms of health, our bodies will heal themselves if they've got everything working right. And if you get everything back to divine natural working order, then you are healthy.
Then you are. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. So I
Thank
love
you for
that.
that little reminder, Leslie. Tips from an old lady, healthy aging. She's got the funniest name because she tried out 2 different names. YouTube put them both together and wouldn't let her remove one. So for like 60 days, she has to have both names stuck together, but it's so cute. Because when people shorten it, they're like, yeah, you're right, old lady. That's very true, old lady. And it's just kind of cute because she's not really old. She's only a few years older than me.
Awesomeness.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do it. That sounds great.
All right, cool.
Okay, so I'm just going to find my rainbow. There we go.
It's
Yep,
upside
it's got the
down.
red on the top and the purple on the bottom.
Yep.
Having a quick drink of water, as you do. And everybody just get really, really comfortable. And if you like, close your eyes. Just move around a little bit until you're sitting in a position that you can hold for around 10 to 12 minutes, maybe 15 on the long side. And we always start out by taking a really deep, relaxing breath in and holding that tonight to a count of 4. And then exhale that deep breath out to a count of 4 and hold it to a count of 4 if you can. And then take a nice, deep, full breath in. Really expand your diaphragm. Your tummy should go out to a count of 4. And hold that breath for a count of 4 if you can. And you're going to exhale it to a nice, slow count of 4. And then hold that for a count of 4 before you draw in. This is the square breathing. Go ahead and draw your next breath in. Fully fill up your lungs. Feel it relaxing all of your body, all of your muscles. Exhale it to a count of 4. Hold that for a count of 4. And now you've done your square breath, which is kind of a Buddhic thing that connects, really relaxes you. And it really focuses on your breath so that you connect your physical body with your etheric body, which is the thinking side, with your astral body, which is the emotional side, with your spirit body, which is your soul. So I guess we really do have at least 4 bodies connected together that makes us, us. And now we're going to draw our breaths in through our heart and exhale it through our heart. Just do that at a pace that's comfortable for you. Breathe in through your heart, breathe in love, and exhale out of your heart. Exhale forgiveness. Go ahead and take another breath in through your heart, breathing in love, letting love fill your body up from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes and out your fingers. And exhale forgiveness back into your home environment or wherever you are. And as you continue to breathe in love and fill your body up with love, go ahead and send a grounding cord down from your root chakra all the way down to the center of the earth. And when it gets to the center of the earth, the heart, the core, let it spread out in all directions. And now we're going to imagine holding hands together with the people who hear this in the future and the people who are here right now. And we're going to imagine being in a beautiful place in nature. So go ahead and fill that image up. Where would that be for you tonight or today, whenever you're listening to this? Would it be daytime or nighttime? Would it be a mountain area or a forest? Would it be on the seaside? Would it be near a lake or a stream, a river? Go ahead and imagine yourself being in the most beautiful place in nature that you've ever seen with your eyes, or something that you're creating right now with your imagination that you've never actually seen. And when we're together and our hearts and our minds are together, all beating as one with love, we're going to start to intend together that we as a group and humanity as our extended group begin to listen more to our internal gnosis, that part inside of us. Some people feel it in their gut, some people feel it in their heart, some people feel it in their solar plexus. Wherever that internal gnosis, that knowing comes from, we're going to start to listen to it more. We're going to trust it more so that we can allow our higher selves and we can allow divine knowing or gnosis to guide us in the right directions in life, into the right activities, into acting out with the right people, meeting the right people, associating with the right people, doing that from a central point within ourselves that kind of already judges the situation immediately and then gives us that instant reaction. It happens so fast. We're going to learn to trust our internal instincts and our internal gnosis and knowing. And we're going to allow that to help us to move forward in a linear fashion, even though we know time does not really exist. It's here for us now with a purpose. And maybe that purpose is so that we can really fully experience life in 3D or 4D on Earth right here and right now. And as a group, we would like humanity to also develop its internal gnosis, which some people call an internal BS detector. So that if you hear something in the media, in politics, from corporations or banks, it immediately doesn't sit right with you so that you know the truth without having to go search for it, without having to find somebody else's opinion to back up what you're already feeling inside. And when humanity can move together, trusting its instincts from a position of love, cooperation, compassion, then we can move together as a species and actually change the structures around us, the structures of finance and the structures of politics, the structures of energy, the structures of corporations. When we get everybody really coming together internally from a position of compassion and cooperation, we can move ahead to a higher level on our evolutionary path. So we'll just have 3 minutes of silence now to imagine what that world would be like with all of us trusting our internal gnosis and all of us working together cooperatively and compassionately as a group, as a species. And when you're ready, start to come back now. Just start to move around a little bit. Open your eyes, release your grounding cord, and let it just disappear in the center of the earth.
Alrighty, and we are back.
I forgot to time it that time, but it felt like 3 minutes. Did that feel like 3 minutes to you guys?
I'm never watching. I always trust you.
Yeah, I just had my eyes closed and I forgot to peek. I was like, I usually look on the clock to see that it's not too much more than 3 minutes.
It felt about right to me, so it's hard to say.
It always seems to lead us back to New Earth, doesn't it? Whenever we talk about trusting our internal divine wisdom, it's like
Absolutely.
just always gets us back to kind of a 5D Earth or fourth density, same place.
Yeah. And that even came up in a session today just about, how we can best shine our light. And it was to operate from the heart virtues, compassion, forgiveness,
Love.
understanding. Yeah. Yeah, they're all tied in with love. I think it was the 6 heart virtues of that, what was it called? The Wingmakers material.
Oh, yeah.
And you do that quantum pause breathing kind of like you do too.
Yeah, that's the Buddhist breath. It's called a square breath.
Right.
To get to the blue pearl, and you keep talking about blue stuff like with April.
Yeah.
So I thought we'll do the square breathing and see if it does actually connect our 4 bodies.
Yeah, and today we had a sea of blue energy again. So yeah, it does keep coming up, this whole idea.
We're supposed to get that count up to 5 or 6. That would be hard for me. I've tried breathing in for 6 is really hard. Holding for 6 is okay. Exhaling for 6 is really difficult. It's very long. And holding for 6, at the end of that, I'm like a fish out of water, gasping for air. 6, 12, 18, 24. That'd be 24 seconds per breath. That's 4 breaths a minute, right?
It's the stopping it's the stopping on the out breath is probably the most difficult for me. It seems like they get increasingly harder,
I can do 3 and 4. So we challenged ourselves tonight by trying to do it to 4.
Right.
Maybe we'll be able to get up to 5. I don't know. But if you can on your own time, try.
I typically go off of my heartbeat instead of counting. So if
you hear that?
2 or
hear your
2 or,
heartbeat?
yeah.
See, I always have to feel it. I have to
I got high blood pressure, so
then
I'm just sitting there bouncing to my
You can
heartbeat.
hear
I'm
it?
just playing.
Boo-boo. Boo-boo.
Well, when I'm real still, I can feel it beat as I'm breathing in and just sort of pace myself to that. So I'll usually do 2 or 3 beats.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can slow
Which probably comes out about the
if I'm
same.
in a doctor's office and they're measuring my blood pressure. I can lower my blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I just go super meditative, super low, super slow, really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually happened a lot. We're like, your blood pressure is going to happen. Like, oh, I forgot to calm it down for you to test it.
Yeah, but you can. You know that you
Yeah.
can. Because, I got a tester at home, so I can always test myself and see if I can lower it.
And something about a doctor's office just makes mine spike, I guess.
Oh, yeah, everybody, not just you. And getting there through traffic and sitting and waiting, knowing you have a million things to do. There's so many reasons why our blood pressure is high whenever a doctor takes it.
Yep.
So if you want your real blood pressure, you should get one of those, I think they're like $20 at pharmaceuticals, Walgreens, CVS, Target, Walmart. And then you can take it first thing in the morning. Although I heard that first thing in the morning, your blood pressure was the lowest, and now I've heard it's the highest. So I don't know when to take it, to be honest with you. But then you know your real level, not sitting in a doctor's office.
Yeah. And don't ever check it right after you get angry.
No, or you've been in traffic. A lot of traffic really drives this mind.
Yeah, it's a good practice on being present, though, as Eckhart Tolle says, right?
Yeah, and who else did that breath? I know it is the Buddhic square breath. Where did you get it from? Was it from the Wingmakers?
Yeah, they call it quantum pause.
Okay.
So you would breathe in, I am, and then
Hold
on the
it.
pause, while you're holding it, then you would go through the 6 heart virtues. So compassion, I think, was the first one in the alphabet C. C is compassion. And then we are. So you go in, I am compassion, we are compassion. And you still pause like you.
On the exhale.
Square breath, yeah.
Yep, something about the square breath.
Yeah.
I'm all about trinities and threes, but I thought we'd try the 4 because supposedly it's something that's very ancient, very old.
You say that, and that's funny because it's like at first I'd always forget that last pause. So as soon as I
Always.
exhaled out for 3, I it immediately began to inhale for 3, and I'm like,
And
oh,
I'm
I'm
going,
supposed to
and
pause for.
hold for 4, and you're like, darn, I've already tried.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to be like present to hold that last one after the
Yeah,
exhale. It's not natural to hold your breath when you're done exhaling. That feels
I
very
know. You immediately
abnormal.
want to suck more air in,
Yeah,
But yeah, that's good because I have a problem sometimes with my mind wandering. So you're so focused on how
breath.
many beats and your breath and all that that you're like, oh, I'm not wondering. My mind's not wandering. I'm thinking about the heart virtues and all
And your
that. So
body is relaxing. When you do that, I think on a beat of 3, it gets you down to 6 breaths a minute, which is what Esther Hicks always said with Abraham. She'd go, try to get down to 6 breaths per minute. That was her goal for meditating. And this does if you do it to a 3. And I think if you do it to a 4, it might drop it to like 4 breaths a minute.
right.
Or maybe that's what it is when you do it on a 6.
I
I
guess
can't
2.5 would be an even
I
10
can't do
seconds.
6. I've tried. I'm
Yeah.
gasping for air.
Yeah. You do 3 though. That'd definitely because that's
3's
12
easy.
seconds. So yeah.
And we did 4 today. So we did the 16-second breath, right?
Yeah.
So how many 16-second breaths in 60 seconds? Anybody good?
Almost 5.
Okay, so we got down to 5 breaths a minute then.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's supposed to
Really.
change your brain waves. It's supposed to get you very quickly into alpha or even theta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just simply
From
slowing
theta.
your breathing down and closing your eyes will get you right into alpha
Get you right
pretty
into
quickly.
alpha.
Yeah.
Maybe even theta if you're lucky.
Jolie, I did show your images early on. If you're just now hopping in here, beautiful images. Thanks for sending those in.
Yep, rewind. Really pretty clouds lit up with all that blue from
Yeah,
the electricity, the
gotta
lightning,
love it.
and some purple. Some purple.
So we'll be back next Saturday evening, and let's see, we got Marilyn Hughes on Monday. Really excited about having her
Awesome.
on Paranormal
Cool.
Frequencies. So I guess we'll wrap this one up. Thank you so much, Eileen, for being here,
Thank you,
as always.
Shane, and thank you everybody in the chat. I'll go back and revisit your comments as soon as it posts.
All righty, lots of love to you guys. See you in the
Mwah.
next one.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Peace.
If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.